It took me more than a year to really learn the handstand and to start getting some freestanding holds. And it's only now, after more than 3.5 years of consistently training calisthenics, that I feel like I really understand the exercise and can do it anytime, anywhere. But I'm sure that if I started over with the knowledge that I currently have, I could achieve the freestanding handstand in just a few months. So if you want to learn how to do the handstand as fast as possible, then you need to watch this video, and I'll tell you exactly what I would do if I were to start all over again. First up, there's a few important things that you need to know if you want to learn the handstand as fast as possible. One of the things that I see that hold a lot of people back is they're so fearful. They have a fear of falling in the handstand, which keep them glued to the wall and make sure that they never progress. If you are to get fast results on the handstand, you need to have the courage to do the exercises with confidence. You need to get over the fear of falling very fast, because if you can't get over this fear, you will never achieve a freestanding handstand. One other thing that you need to know to learn the handstand as fast as possible is that you need to train it very frequently. Training handstands 2 to 3 times a week is just not going to cut it. You need to teach your body to stand upside down and balance on your hands, which are not at all designed to be stood on. And this takes a lot of time and exposure for your brain and your nervous system to internalize. You need to basically make it second nature for your body to be standing upside down. So you need to be doing it as often as possible. I would say train handstands at the minimum 4 times a week, but ideally 5 to 7 times a week. And of course, listen to your body and take days off when it's needed for your recovery or to not get injured. But the frequency is very important. The first thing that I would recommend you to do in your handstand journey is to just cover the very basics. This phase you only need to spend 1 to 2 weeks on. Don't spend too much time here because it will just be time wasted. You just need to build enough proficiency and confidence in these basic movements to be able to move on to the next level with confidence. And what I would recommend you to do in this phase is, number one, learn how to fall and bail out of the handstand safely without getting injured, to build confidence for when you do the freestanding handstand or exercises against the wall, that you can save yourself if you are falling. Number two, I would recommend you to train the kick up into handstand so you know how to effectively get into the handstand position and get comfortable doing that, because that's basically going to be your bread and butter and how you get into the handstand while you're still a beginner. And the last part is building up strength and endurance. For some people, this can be a really important step if you just have no basic strength, but most people should be able to hold a handstand without much training. But this is still good to train, because the more strength you have, the better. For learning how to fall, you're basically just going to do wall falls where you crawl up the wall and then practice the movement of falling over, doing a cartwheel bail from the wall, and gradually moving further up the wall until you're in a full handstand position. For the kick-ups, you're just going to practice them against the wall and just kick up, go down, kick up, go down. Don't try to balance at the top. We're only practicing the kick-ups at this moment, and in the next stage, we're gonna start focusing on balance. For the strength exercises, you could either just be doing handstand holds at the wall, again without balancing. You could be doing shrugs, where you train your elevation, or you could be doing wall walks, which is a really good exercise to build strength and endurance in your shoulders. All right, once you've spent 1 to 2 weeks in this phase, then you should be ready to move on to the next phase, where we're gonna start to look at the balance. And for this phase, there's only really a few key exercises that you need to be doing to learn the freestanding handstand. There's no need to overcomplicate it. There's a few exercises that give you the best results for your time invested and will be the most efficient for getting you to your freestanding handstand. And these exercises are, first up, still practicing your kick-ups and getting more controlled in the movement pattern. And two, doing a few key balancing exercises that will teach you how to use your fingers and the rest of your body to create balance in the freestanding handstand. You can maybe once or twice a week add in a few strengthening exercises to further build up your shoulder strength, but don't add them in too often, because they will impact your ability to train your handstands more frequently, because you'll need more time to recover. One thing that you need to understand is that you need to train kicking up into the handstand and actually balancing the handstand as two separate skills, because they are. Most people try to combine these, so they kick up and then they do some balance attempts, and they try to combine these two things and train them at the same time. But they're two completely different skills. You need to, one, teach your body how to kick up controlled into the handstand position, and then you need to teach it how to actually hold the balance in this position. It's two separate skills, so train them separately. For the kick-ups, you're still going to be doing them at the wall, and here the intention is going to be as controlled as possible and to try to not even hit the wall. This is the goal. It's completely fine if you do hit the wall, but try to not attempt to hold the balance at the top and just go down after a few seconds. Over time, your goal should be to move further away from the wall, because if you're very close to the wall, you won't really have time to catch yourself with your hands and create that balance. But if you stand further away, you have more of a chance to create the balance before you hit the wall. As for the balancing exercises, I just want you to be doing two exercises. In the handstand, we need to learn how to correct overbalance and underbalance. Overbalance is basically falling towards your back, and underbalance is falling back towards your feet. And we just need to focus on one exercise for overbalance and one exercise for underbalance. The first exercise that teaches you to prevent overbalance is called finger presses. You basically just kick up to the wall, fairly close to the wall in the beginning, because the further you are, the more difficult the exercise gets. And when you're at the wall, you just press into the ground, squeeze the ground with your hands until you feel your feet leave the wall. Then you release the pressure and go back to the wall. You need to release the fingers, the pressure with the fingers, sooner than you think, because if not, you'll just fall down. This exercise basically teaches you how to use your hands to prevent overbalance, because we're using the fingers to press ourselves away from the wall. And this is the same thing that we're doing when we're in a freestanding handstand and we start to fall over. One note though is that you don't want to use your feet to push off the wall. I see this bad habit pretty often with beginners, where they use one foot to push themselves out from the wall. But if you think about it, when you're in a freestanding handstand, there's no wall to push from. There's just air. So you're kind of just cheating yourself from getting the results of this exercise. The second balancing exercise I want you to be doing is called toe taps. And for this one, you're going to stand with your stomach to the wall. Hands should be a bit away. And then from there, you pull your hips out until they're stacked over the rest of your body. So it's only your legs that are bent and are putting weight on the wall. From there, you take one leg out till it's in a straight position, and then you try to switch the legs at the same time as controlled as you can. In this exercise, we're still pushing ourselves out from the wall, but with the body in the other direction, which means we have to use the bottom of our palm if we want to get out from the wall with the feet. So here we're training the ability to correct underbalance, whereas in the previous exercise, we were training the ability to correct overbalance. Over time, you want to start being more and more controlled till you can basically make each rep last a few seconds, and you're actually standing in the freestanding handstand for a few seconds between each time you touch the wall. This is one of my absolute favorite exercises to teach people the balance of the handstand, and it's what personally taught me how to balance the handstand. Now, the last section is, once you're pretty good at this stuff, after doing it for a month or two, you're gonna start moving away from the wall finally. You're still gonna be doing your workout with your kick-ups, finger presses, and toe taps, but at the same time, you're gonna start doing freestanding attempts throughout the day. This is a method called greasing the groove, where you train a skill very often throughout the day, pretty much every day, but with very low intensity. Again, we need this skill to become second nature, so we need to train it as often as possible. So by doing it every single day, just throughout the day, whenever you have a moment, we're quickly getting a lot of exposure and teaching our body what it needs to do to hold a freestanding handstand. Plus, we're getting more comfortable with kicking out without a wall and standing with nothing to support us. So basically, throughout the day, whenever you have a free moment, just attempt a freestanding handstand. Still keep practicing your exercises. Maybe you don't need to do them as often now, but still do them 3 to 5 times a week maybe, and then just add the attempts, as many as you have time for throughout the day, and you'll very quickly learn the freestanding handstand. If you follow these different phases and you implement the exercises I talked about in this video, I'm pretty sure you will achieve the freestanding handstand within 2 to 3 months, if you stay consistent with it. I know that if someone had told me this when I was just starting out and I had followed this advice instead of just doing a bunch of random bullshit, I would have learned the handstand 3 times faster than what I did. And I really hope you take this advice so you can get better progress than I did. If you found the video helpful, drop a like. And if you want to see more content, then subscribe to my channel.